Hi everybody, this is my new channel. I wanted to do a part just for me so I could, I don't know, get some things out that I've been through and maybe help other women or people that are going through the same thing that I went through that maybe I didn't notice I was going through. I recently got separated back in January of 2019 after being married for 14 years. My marriage ended because of infidelity and verbal and emotional, well, not more emotional and mental abuse than anything. And the unfortunate part was I didn't notice it until it was done. So I wanted to just do my journey and get things off my chest and make myself feel better because a lot happened that a lot of people don't know about. My therapist is pretty much knows everything, and my fiance Timothy pretty much knows. He knows most of it, but he respects the fact, that I keep some of the stuff to myself. I tried my best to portray the happy family that we weren't. I was Facebook fake, so I want to get it out there. And I'm going to start all the way back from the beginning, from the time I met him. And this will probably be about 15-minute increments. I'm going to try to do one a few times a week because the therapy is good. So I can get it off my chest. I'm better with my words than writing them down. I write them down and I get confused and then it doesn't make sense. So maybe if I start from the beginning and do it verbally and let everybody know what I went through, it would help me and it would help others maybe. That is my hope. So, okay, so I met my ex-husband. I'm not going to use any names because I know people that know us, but there's many people out there that don't. And I don't want to taint anybody's name or cause any problems. So if you do know, I'm sorry, let me fix myself here. If you do know my family personally, just know that this is my experience with what I went through. And there's always three sides to a story. And this is my side. And this is the truth that I remember and I know. There's no reason to lie about what happened to me because I just didn't know it was happening. I'm having recall issues because the last 5 years of our marriage was the worst part of our marriage. So unfortunately, when you go through trauma like that, and this is what I'm learning, this is what I'm told and learning, you have memory issues because you are so traumatized from the events that happened. That's all you can remember. You can't remember the good stuff of the marriage. You can't remember, when it wasn't there. But as I stop and think about it, it's been there my whole marriage, but it was very gradual. But I met my ex-husband back in 2001. I was a senior in high school, and I actually met him online through a chat room. We began talking, and we just talked online, and then eventually we started calling each other. And a few months later, he came to see me. I think he stayed only a weekend. I can't remember. But everything seemed fine. He seemed like a great guy. He was nice. He was caring in the beginning. He was very affectionate in the beginning. And then after I graduated high school, and I believe a month or two later, I moved to California. I attempted, because his family is in California. His father was in California at the time. So I was like, okay, cool. I've always wanted to live in California. It was like my dream. So I packed my stuff up, and I went and lived with him for 3 months in California, and it was hard because I'm all about my family, all about them. So I end up, I get over there, and I remember this. I got on the plane, and he came and got me from the airport, and he goes, "Why are you wearing that?" And I'm like, "What?" Because I had, I think I was wearing like sweatpants and like my sweatshirt or whatever. I was comfortable because I'd never flown before, and I know you got to be comfortable on a plane because I was going from New York to California. It was a long ride. And I said, "What's wrong with it? I'm comfortable." And he said, "Yeah, but you need to look better when you meet my parents." And I was like, "Okay, I'm really sorry." So his dad was waiting out in the car for us in the garage at the airport. So I get in the car, I meet him, whatever. They drop us off at our apartment that he was living in, and he went to lunch with his dad that afternoon. I didn't go. I was by myself. And his dad, I remember him coming back and going, "So what did your dad think? Does he like me? What did your dad think about me?" And he's like, "Well, the first time I seen you, she's a little too fat. You could do better." And I remember crying because I was like, okay, left my family and everybody I knew in New York, came here to be with you, and you're just like, your father just brands that out. I mean, I was hurt. It hurt my feelings so bad. But, you know, he didn't say anything to his father, I guess, or whatever. And I think I've been like, well, I'll just try to win this man's approval, because I am a people pleaser. I want everybody to like me. That's just who I am. Because I do not, at the time, I did not want people to dislike me for any reason. It's like, you got to get to know somebody before you decide, you know what I mean? So I stayed there for 3 months. The 3 months I was there, I worked, and nothing really eventful happened. I do remember he just, I don't know, he made it good. I liked living there, but I missed home. So I ended up moving back, and he came, I believe he came a little bit while later, and we lived in New York until we got married in 2004. Then we decided to pack up our stuff, everything I owned. I cried, and we drove from New York to Louisiana to pick up some stuff for his family. And I met his family down there, who I adored, and I loved every single one of them, and I still do. They are the sweetest people ever you will meet. And I learned a lot about my ex-husband's family at the time, and kind of stuff that my ex-husband went through. And it was kind of tough as a kid for him, so I sympathized with it. I couldn't believe the stuff that he had went through. So we went from there to California after we left Louisiana after 3 days, because we got flooded in there. And we moved in with his parents at the time, because they were getting houses on a property, and none of it was ready yet. So we lived with them for a while, and it wasn't too bad. I got along with everybody, and it was pretty good. I can't say the year I lived there was anything notable happened, I guess. My ID got stolen, so did everybody. We moved on to this large property. It was 3 trailers on one property, double wides on one property. His grandfather, my ex-father-in-law, my ex-stepmother-in-law, and then me and my ex-husband. And it was okay. I enjoyed it. I liked living in California. I missed my family, but it was an experience I had never had, and nothing memorable happened that I can think of, and I may recall it later. I do know that the week we decided to move back to North Carolina, I got pregnant with my son. I was about 14 weeks pregnant when we were moving back to North Carolina. My parents were coming to North Carolina, and I'm like, well, I want to go be with my parents. I don't want to have this baby and my parents never get to see him, or, you know, I'm really homesick. I want to go there. So we tell his parents, hey, we're going to move. So they help us pack up our stuff. They get us a moving truck. They were so nice about it. And then we happened to be at their house, and we noticed that we got, no, I'm sorry. Let me think of it. My dad had said, I prefer you not fly from here to North Carolina, because you got to be able to get up and walk. I don't want you to get blood clots, because I was 14 weeks pregnant, and I was super, super sick my whole pregnancy. He's like, why don't you fly to New York? I'm sorry, he didn't want me to fly. He wanted me to drive from California to North Carolina. He didn't want me to do that, because it was a long haul. He's like, why don't you fly to New York and ride down with us? And I'm like, okay, that's a good plan. A few days before, I had told his father that. I said, well, what I'm going to do is fly to New York, and I'm going to ride down with my parents. And my ex's father did not like that idea. He got mad. He was offended. He was pissed off that somebody was going to tell him what to do. And he was really upset about it. So the next day we went over to talk to them about it, you know, let everything cool down. And we happened to notice he had printed out a plane ticket for me to fly, and just me. And I said, you know, we asked what was going on with that, and all hell broke loose. The man decided that he called me white trash. He chased me around the property. He threw a mug at my head, and it landed right into the wall. I ducked, and he threw the mug so hard it was in the wall. He took my cell phone from me, and he took the battery out of it, and he threw it everywhere. This is my ex's father, by the way. He chased me around the property. He was threatening to kick my ass. He was calling me white trash and a piece of crap, and I come from nothing, and da-da-da-da-da. And I ended up over at my ex's grandfather's house in desperation to call the police, because I was terrified, because he was trying to get a hold of me to hurt me. I get over there, and my ex's grandpa's like, okay, what happened? And I call the police. I tell him what's happening. And just as I tell the police what's going on, he pulled the outside plug of the phone. He made it so nobody could call anything. He pulled the cords outside out of the connection, so nobody could make any more calls, because he knew I was calling the police. And I mean, I'm sitting in his room sobbing. I'm sitting in the living room and I'm like, please don't let him in. Please don't let him in. The police show up. And with my luck, it's the police that are doing the investigation on all of our identity theft. All of our IDs had gotten stolen out of our mailbox. And they looked at me and they said, ma'am, you are living on their property. You need to follow by their rules. What? We pay our bills. We both worked. We paid our bills to live there. We were not living rent-free. We were not living utility-free. We paid our bills every single month just like they did. Except to them, because they were in control of that. So I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I said, he took my cell phone, that I paid for myself, by the way, and he threw it into the field. He took the battery, threw it one way, and my phone the other way. He threw a mug at my head. Go in his house. You'll see it sticking in the damn wall. And they did nothing about it. Nothing. They said, you need to respect him. This is his property, not yours. I was so angry. I left the house. I went back to mine, which was empty, by the way. We had already packed everything up, so we were staying with his parents at their house. And I packed up everything, and I went back home, and I sat in our living room of our old house sobbing. I was having an anxiety attack now that I look back. I couldn't breathe, felt like I was dying. And my ex comes in, he sits down, he's like, you shouldn't have done that. You've caused a lot of problems. And I looked at, I'm just like, your father, he tried to attack me. Well, you should have kept your mouth shut. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm sorry it caused problems. I'm really sorry. I felt guilty the whole night. I went to bed. We went back over to their house and we just spent the day in the bedroom. Well, I did mostly. And that morning I got up. It was very, very early to catch the flight. And his father was taking us. And my ex-stepmother-in-law was pissed off at me too. And I knocked on the door and said, hey, I'm leaving. I'm really sorry about what happened yesterday. I hope we can rectify this. I was left apologizing for something I didn't do. So I got to the airport and I wasn't even upset leaving. I was upset about leaving my two cats. I mean, my animals. I only had one. Yeah, I had one cat by the time, 2 dogs. I was more upset about that than leaving my ex-husband at the time, or my husband at the time, and anything else. I was just like, I want to get to my parents. It's my safe place. So I flew back to New York, and I think I told my mom the majority of what happened, but I was just like, I'm tired. I don't want to deal with this. I remember getting at my parents' house, getting in the shower and sobbing because it was so overwhelming. I just could not believe what I had went through. We moved to North Carolina. A couple days later, we drove down and got here. And my ex got here before I did. Because we stayed in New York for a little bit, so he had time to get here before I did. And that's when they broke the news to me that my in-laws were coming too. They were packing up their stuff and decided to move here. So my safe state was no longer safe. They were debating to go to either Colorado or here, and they chose here. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna make things better because it was my fault, and looking back, it wasn't. But I was very good at blaming stuff on myself because it was getting blamed on me. That's what's called gaslighting, by the way. It was my fault that these things happened, and it wasn't. So unfortunately, my ex did that throughout my whole marriage. In the last 5 years, he did as well. So they moved down here, and I can tell you right away that my parents didn't like them. They could tell that they were trouble from the start. Trying to recall what happened between now and then, because my problem is I go straight to the last 5 years, and the last 5 years were horrible. There was a lot of emotional abuse in the house, a lot of yelling, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of cheating. He was very he spent the last 5 years of our marriage mostly on his phone in the living room from the time he got home from work till the time he had to leave to work the next morning. We had my daughter back in 2015, and I had pregnancy-induced depression, and the doctor said, you need to watch her because it could turn into postpartum depression. Now, mind you, I was a very optimistic person. I never dealt with depression or anxiety. My sister does, I have family members that do, and I didn't understand. I'm like, you're just sad. It's what you are. But it's not something you can just get over. But I didn't fully understand how physically taxing it was on somebody. I don't really remember before 5 years, so I'm just going to skip over to that, and I can give you a brief of the first 5 years, the first year of the 5 years. I got pregnant with my daughter. Best thing in my life. We discussed having another baby, but we went to Disney World that year, came back, and a month later, I found out I was pregnant. No, I did not get pregnant at Disney World, because actually that's when things I could tell that were not going well in our marriage. He didn't want to spend time with us, but he wanted to control the trip. It was, I want to do this, and this is what we're going to do. My son he's on the autism spectrum. He's high functioning, and he has ADD, sensory disorder, anxiety. And obviously, any parent who has a special needs child would know with sensory disorder or autism or anxiety will know that it's an overwhelming, taxing thing to, sorry, my cat came, to go to Disney World with all the senses, the sounds, the music, all the people. And, well, buddy, hi. And he had a meltdown probably day 2. We were at one of the parks, and we sat down because he was crying, because he was overwhelmed. He was exhausted. It was a lot for him to take in at 8 years old. And my ex-husband looked at my son and said, "You're the reason that this trip sucks. You're ruining it. You're sitting here crying over nothing. And this is the worst trip ever. You are ungrateful, and you don't appreciate the fact that we brought you here." And I turned and looked at him, and I thought, what is he doing to my child? And I just picked him up and I moved him. I'm like, you're not going to talk to him that way. But anyway, we found out we were pregnant with my daughter. And probably about, I don't know, I think this is when my preterm labor started, about 30 weeks. I was just sitting on the couch by myself. I had no desire to do anything. I was sad. I felt sad but empty at the same time. And I didn't know what it was. I just thought, it's a tough pregnancy. I'm trying to keep my daughter alive because she keeps trying to escape. But that's when I was induced with pregnancy-induced depression. I had her early, and it wasn't that early. It was 4 weeks early. And the day I went into labor, we were in the labor room, and it was very big, and he was sitting in the recliner next to the window, and my bed was on the opposite side of the room, and he never sat next to me or, comforted me or anything, because I went, stop buddy, I went medicine free for most of my labor, because the pain, it was manageable, The only time he got up to do anything is when she was born. He came over when I pushed her, and it was like 3 pushes, she was out. I'm pretty sure that if my parents weren't there, I would have celebrated alone, because he didn't seem that excited. I have fake pictures of fake smiles, of fake excitement that I just had my daughter. You can tell they're fake. I was happy. He wasn't. I remember saying, "Please smile," and he did. Not a great picture. Had I known that during my time in labor, he was talking to another girl, sorry, my cat's playing with it, I would have, I don't know what I've done actually, but he was sitting on his phone the whole time, which I knew, and he was texting the girl he was cheating on me with, making plans to talk to her that night, because I was moved to my room that I was going to stay in until I was discharged, and he rushed home to talk to her on Skype. So, yeah. Talk about a celebration ruined, right? So, that's where all of it began. Yay, right? But I'm going to wrap it up because now I'm at 20 minutes. But yeah, so that's the start of it. And I just hope that, I can get things out and help people. I haven't been to therapy in a while because of COVID. And I'm thinking about going back. But I'm hoping this will help too. So, I hope y'all will stop by and continue to listen to my story. I have a lot more to add. It feels good to get some of it out. I mean, I've told people, but not many people know my full story. So I'm not ashamed of it. It's just something I don't talk about, because I feel like if I do, people will say, I don't know how to explain it. I just don't want to make a big deal of it, but I want to get it out because I want to help others. Because despite the fact that I was abused, unfortunately, North Carolina says, hey, mental abuse doesn't count. It's not physical abuse is easier to show than mental. Mental is all up here. If you could see the scars, the memories, the emotional distress, the depression, the anxiety, the thoughts of suicide I had, it would be easy to prove what I went through. But I can't. It's just words. So I just want to get it out there. I think it'll help you there. So thanks for stopping by. And I hope you come back for the next one. Bye-bye.